Truly a pleasure. I had a run here. Sundays are family days, so I have to thank my wife and my daughters for allowing me to be here today. Amber, you're right. If you're elected, when you're elected, you'll be the first Black woman in City Council. That is amazing. I think that deserves a round of applause. In order to understand why I'm running for office, I think it's important to provide context of who I am. I was born and raised in Oceanside. Oceanside is home. It has always been home. My parents immigrated from Mexico to San Diego County in the 70s. And at that time, they found housing and jobs in Encinitas and Solana Beach because that's where it was affordable to live. That's where my grandfather was living. He would come to Solana Beach, go back to Mexico, bring more family over. And that was pretty much how he supported our family. Well, Solana Beach and Encinitas started becoming gentrified, and folks started getting priced out. So like a lot of the folks in that community, along with my family, they started moving down the 78 corridor. A lot of my family came to the Tri-City community, along with the Eastside Pozole community, where the mayor lives, Mesa Margarita down here in the valley, and really all throughout Oceanside, but from the 78 all the way down to Valley Center and Escondido. I was born and raised in the Tri-City community. And if any of you are familiar with that community, it's one of the underserved communities here in Oceanside, but because it's so far away from City Council, and you have Vista Unified School District, you have Vista Unified School District in Tri-City, Carlsbad Unified School District in Tri-City, and Oceanside Unified School District in Tri-City, there's this disconnect that we have within the community. Like many members of my family and friends that grew up there, I got in a lot of trouble growing up. And that led me to end up dropping out of high school. And it was when I had a friend, or multiple friends, that were starting to go to prison. I just started to make some changes in my life. My mom was going to the Maricosa Community Learning Center to learn English, and she urged me to go there just to see if I can get a high school diploma or a GED. And when I went there, I got really connected to Maricosa, and it was the first time that I was inspired into education. And I decided I was going to start making changes in my life. There's a quote that I want to share with you because it really sparks my advocacy. It's an African proverb, and it says, "If we do not engage the youth into the village, they will burn it down to feel its warmth." And that was something that I felt growing up, along with my friends, whether they were Black, Samoan, Mexican, Filipino. The kids in my neighborhood, we felt really disengaged and not included in our school system. We felt like every other day the police were pulling us over, asking us where we were from, what we were doing. After a while, that kind of beats you down. And I wanted to be an inspiration to the next generation in my community, so I started getting involved in nonprofits while I was at Maricosa College. I got involved with an organization called Encuentros, which was established to counteract the high school dropout rate amongst Latino boys along the 78. And that became my partnership working with institutions like Palomar, Cal State San Marcos. I was only 20 years old, but I started having leadership roles. From Maricosa, I got a full ride scholarship to UC Berkeley, where I transferred as a poli-sci major. So I went from a high school dropout to UC within a matter of 4 or 5 years. And the reason I chose Berkeley was because I wanted to send a statement to my community that if I can do that, so can they. When I came back from Berkeley, I became the program supervisor of an after-school program down the street here in the Deep Valley in Mesa Margarita, Libby Lake, Project Reach Libby Lake. My second day on the job, there was a shooting that happened at the park. Around 7 p.m., a rival gang came in and started shooting at the park. And they didn't mean to, but they meant to. It was a retaliation, a gang retaliation. But when they ended up shooting was a 13-year-old girl who they killed, a 14-year-old boy that was murdered, and one of my students that was shot 7 times, including in the head. From that was my first time going to city council because the neighborhood was mad. That was the second murder the second incidents of murder that had taken place where kids in that community were they were wrongfully identified by the rival gangs. And the reason it happened was because there was no lights at that part of the park. And so the kids in frustration said, we have to do something. So we loaded up this 15-seater van and went down to city council, and this is in 2012, 2013. At that time, the mayor was a council member, and she worked with us, she met with those kids. Now, if you go to Libby Lake, there's big lights back there in the park. And that was my introduction of what we can do. If we can do this, what else can we do? So the mayor also mentioned the murals in Pozole. Well, that started with the kids in Libby Lake back in 2013, 2014. We wanted to beautify the park. from all the gangs that were coming in and out. And so that kind of just started this whole work of what is needed in the community to bring solutions. We were able to create bus route 315, which now goes from the Libby Lake community all the way to Maricosta to create more accessible route to higher education. And again, that was in partnership working with the board of NCTD, the mayor, and the NCTD board. While I was in law school, because I ended up going to law school, I was appointed to the North County Gang Commission. And then I had the opportunity to work with juvenile probation, establish a new reentry program to service the highest risk youth in North County coming home from probation. And it's those things that we want to bring to council, is bringing serving the gap areas in our community to serve the most under-resourced communities. Yes, there's infrastructure needs that we hear all across Oceanside. Yes, we have homelessness. We have folks right now that are just struggling to make ends meet. And it is my goal to do everything I can to be a resource to our community. I promise to remain proximate to our community. I promise to remain accessible to my community. And I also promise to lead on council the same way that I've led my successful nonprofit career. So that's what the promise that you all have for me. Thank you so much.